of the library guitar class for beginners presented by Center Music House. This is the 5th Q&A. I'm joined by Rahards, our guitar teacher, as always. And today we're just going to be talking about some of the topics that were covered in the 5th lesson of this series, 5 of 6. If you guys are watching this, thank you guys so much for sticking with it. And congratulations for making it this far. Not everybody's made it this far. If you have any questions about anything that's been covered in the lessons, anything about guitar or music in general, please just pop it into the chat, and Rahards and I will address it as best as we can. And if you don't say anything, then we're just going to talk about whatever happens to come up.
Exactly.
Like we typically do. It's a good time.
It
If you
is fun.
guys want to get the lesson plans associated with this class, be sure to email Helen at the library. She'll make sure to get you all the materials. Also, at the end of the 6-week class, we're going to do kind of like a live hangout Q&A where anybody who's been doing the class can join in on a Zoom call, just like Rahards and I are on like right now. And you'll be able to meet other students who've been doing the class. You'll be able to talk to us directly, share what you've been working on. You can play some songs or chords or exercises, get some feedback in real time. So that's going to happen next Saturday. What is that? The 22nd, August 22nd at 5 p.m. So be sure to email Helen at the library once again if you want to participate in that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hope to see you guys there. And like I said, thanks for joining us on this journey of learning guitar and also learning how to teach guitar online in a new format. We did this because the library, Framingham Public Library, asked us if we were interested in doing it, and it's something new in the world of online learning. And we love trying new things, and we love supporting our community, so that's why we're doing it.
Absolutely.
So, what's going on, Rahards?
Not much. Banging out the F chord.
That F chord.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the F chord.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, it's a hard chord. You know,
Yeah.
I think once people get to if people muster enough courage to keep on going through, and they go through all the open chords and all that stuff, usually once they get to the F chord, that's where things start to get iffy. But a lot of people don't understand that it's easier than it's actually seems, you know.
Okay.
And that's exactly why, if you take a look at our lesson plan, we have 2 versions of the F chord. One is the full-blown, let's put our finger all the way across the 1st fret, and we also have a smaller version of the F chord where we're just covering the first 2 strings with our 1st finger. For those of you who are not understanding what I'm talking about barring, so playing multiple strings with the same finger, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So that's pressing down a finger across more than one. It's all, they're all going to be in the same fret, right? You can't play multiple. You can't play the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd fret just with one finger. You're always going to be barring.
Well, you can do weird
Did I speak too
things.
soon?
You can do bar multiple.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
But okay, yeah, we shouldn't go into that.
Gotcha. Yeah. Um, yeah, I remember when I was first learning bar chords, and woo, that's hard. It takes
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of stamina in your hand and finger muscles to hold that index finger. The index finger is often the one that you use to bar.
Yeah.
Just to hold it down enough so that you can make good contact from the string and the fret.
Exactly. You know,
Oof.
one of the things with the bar chords is that the process should be a little bit different than the open chords. When we start working, from my experience, when I start working with students on the 1st chords and open chords and all that stuff, the main thing that we work on is to get all the notes sounding clearly, no buzzing and things like that, because that's gonna develop fundamental skills of how to position your fingers on the fretboard in general. Now, a lot of people, when they see the F chord, which is usually for most people their first bar chord, um, and they try it out, and there's so much buzz, and
Yeah.
they just can't get it work, and they approach it in the same way, trying to minimize that buzz, trying to like make it work. But
Mm.
the thing with this is that you're not just with in case of the bar chord, you're not just positioning your fingers in a better or worse position. You're actually applying immense amount of strength.
Yes.
That's so much pressure on your first finger, and then depending on how much thumb you're using on your
Mm-hmm.
thumb on the other side of the guitar, right? So
Right.
I would say people need to have a lot of patience with the F chord, and people need to come to a sort of a acceptance of the buzz. They need to
Yes.
become friends with the buzz and trust that as they keep practicing, it's gonna go away. It's all about developing that muscle strength in that finger there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a
Mm-hmm.
couple of things that you can do to make it easier. Well, one thing is do the easier version of the F chord first,
Mm-hmm.
which covers two strings. And that actually brings me to if there's someone who really likes technical exercise. I know when I started playing guitar, I used to be one of those rare people who just loves technical exercises and stuff
Okay.
like that. Um, a good thing you can do is just go up and down the frets by barring,
Ah.
and don't add other notes. Just bar the first two strings. Well, you're going full on. That's cool. But if you're just starting out, you can just bar the first two strings
Yep.
and go up step by step. And and make sure that every fret that you play, the notes sound clean. Good, good, and so on. And then you walk back down. And then when you feel a little more comfortable with that, and you can do that already, add another string, bar free strings, and do the
Mm.
same thing. You know, that can, you just do that for like a minute before you play guitar.
Yeah.
I don't know, in a month the F chord will be like, eesh,
Yeah.
clicks. Why not?
No
No problem.
problem. Yeah, I think that's a good approach, kind of in line with one of what I think is one of your philosophies about learning guitar is just take it in manageable chunks, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And just work from the smallest little bit and then build up from there. I think that's great advice.
Yeah. And also, a lot of people, which goes back to that idea, when people come to the F chord, they try to make it sound good already from the beginning, right? Um, you will probably try to apply a lot of pressure with your thumb.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, that's fine. You kind of need to do that to strengthen your fingers. But
Right.
again, take it easy. Don't overdo it. If this is your first time doing the F chord and you're trying and you feel that it's not too easy for you from the beginning, just you know don't do it more than a couple of minutes a day. You don't want to hurt
Yeah.
yourself.
Right.
I've had some students who get who I signed, like I show the F chord and then they're super enthusiastic and everything, and they hurt their hand, they injured their hand.
Mm.
They try to do it all the time and they apply so much pressure where
Yeah.
it's just like bodybuilding. You
Yeah.
start step by step. Only we're being we're doing bodybuilding for our fingers. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you can definitely hurt or strain your hand if you do it too much. And there are certain songs I know where, like, for example, Creep
Hmm.
by Radiohead.
Yeah.
That's all bar chords. And I can't get through that song without my hand screaming in discomfort
Yeah.
just from doing bar chords for 2, 3, or 4 minutes.
I'll let you in on a little secret.
Oh yeah.
Most,
Okay.
I think most even super professional musicians who you see playing out there doing gigs and stuff like that, I really believe that even they still are having trouble with the bar chords. Like they
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to go playing a song which is 15 minutes long, like 15 minutes long, and using only bar chords. No way.
Yeah.
That's just I'm saying this in hopes that it's reassuring people that it's completely normal and you need to take it slowly and step by step.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, and then with the alternate F, the
Hmm.
non-barred one,
Yeah.
I know some people will use their thumb to play that first. Do you do that? Are you a thumb guy?
I do that for certain chords, not for this F. My thumb just doesn't go there
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah.
The thumb is a difficult thing because I've met guitarists who say, "Oh, you have to learn to use the thumb," but and that's true. If you can use it, then that's true. But the thing is, not every hand is the same.
Right.
And I know plenty of great professional guitarists who, no matter how much they practice, they try stretching out their hands and everything. The thumb is just like it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
But it's a good thing. It's good that you brought that up. It's a good thing to experiment with. If you have very big hands, or for example, for some reason your thumb is very stretchy and
Yeah.
it can reach all those places, then absolutely you can try that out. The idea here, to explain the concept behind it a little bit, is you would take a look at the top strings because you have the whole chord there already, right? And then what you want to add is that bass to the bottom, right?
Right.
And without going too much into theory explaining what bass is, when you look at guitar chords, that's usually the lowest note in the chord in the
Mm-hmm.
diagram. So if we look at the full F chord, is this first fret here on the sixth string. So if your thumb goes there and you can like do that, I can't. I can do
Yeah.
that. I can do a nice on the G
Oh.
here, but I can't reach stuff. But if you can do that, yeah, that's another completely legit way to play the F chord. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. The thumb for yeah. I guess depending on your hand as an individual and how dexterous you are, or some people are double jointed and can move their fingers and thumbs in all sorts of ways. But depending on your situation, fretting with the thumb could be just as difficult or even more difficult than barring.
That's very true. One quick thing I want to mention, which I didn't mention in the lesson actually, sometimes when people try to do the alternate version of the F chord,
Yeah.
they go at it, since you're barring only two strings, they go at it from this kind of an angle, tend to align their other fingers like this.
Huh.
And
Okay.
that's not exactly too helpful for the bar chord. What I would advise is, if you can't do the full version and you're trying to do the alternate version, start with the full version first anyway, but don't push down. Just put your fingers there, just
Okay.
so you kind of get the idea of how your fingers will be.
Mm-hmm.
And then, well, you exchange your pinky, it doesn't really matter. Then try to bring your finger down to bar those first two strings, sorry, in a similar kind of angle the way you would play the full F chord. So you don't
Got
get
it.
into, so you don't get too used to doing weird angles for this smaller
Mm.
F chord, and then when you actually try to do the big F chord, it's again a completely new challenge. The
Mm.
point here is to try to imitate that big F chord and kind of slowly get to it, in a sense.
So can you talk more about the why an angle like that is not good, or why it's better to be like what's going on if I'm playing a chord like this with
Hmm.
my fingers at an angle to the fret. They're
Yeah.
not in line with the fret. What's so bad about that?
Okay. So, well, first things first, I guess there's nothing essentially wrong with it. If it really works for you and everything that you do, that's cool. But I would advise experimenting a little more. First thing, what I already mentioned, this puts you away from the way you would put your finger if you were doing the whole first F, like the full F chord. So
Okay.
it kind of like it's not exactly learning two different versions in terms of fingering of the same chord, one a little easier, one more complicated, but it's almost kind of like going into two completely different fingering types for the same chord, which is kind of Why would you do that? In a
Yeah.
sense. And another thing is, a lot of people do that, and I'm not sure exactly why that naturally happens. Maybe they feel like if this part of their knuckles and everything is closer to the guitar, they have a greater grasp, which is
Mm,
actually true. Because then, if you do it like this, you're not just relying on your thumb, but you have much more, like support here.
yeah.
But it's not necessarily good support. It kind of takes away from the other muscles that you want to develop.
Okay.
And when you do that, when you instinctively go there thinking that it's more support, a few things happen. First of all, it's not sustainable support. Secondly, it's not building the kind of support and muscle strength that you would need to do other chords, which are similar. And third, you're kind of tricking yourself into thinking that this is easier, while actually, if you position your fingers like this, there's more of a stretch than if you have
Right.
them like this. This is much, they can curl up. There's not as much of a stretch. If
Yeah.
they're like this, there's more stretching there going
Yeah.
on.
It's not
And
very natural.
that's not very natural. And that can also like lead to the lead back to the same problems that, people usually have with the open chords, where at first like, oh, I'm not playing on my tips and one of my fingers is blocking the other strings and
Right.
things like that. Absolutely. I
Got it.
see that happen so often. People think that they're gonna another example, which is a little different, but talking about this stretching kind of thing, they tend to sometimes put their wrists like this,
Mm,
thinking that that's gonna help them reach better. But that's very counterintuitive, because you think that you're having more space for your hand, but actually when you put out your wrist like this, the stretch here is bigger. So your fingers have to actually go
yeah.
more. They have to stretch out more. So you're making yourself work more. But that's
Right.
completely normal. Like what we talked about last time, what you said, Max, about we're, putting our hands in all sorts of unnatural ways when we start learning a new
Yeah.
instrument. So we
Yeah.
just
That's
have to kind of
that's
work through that.
that's really interesting. I never thought of the the length of it's almost like your hand and your fingers are acting as levers,
Mm.
and you we learn about the fulcrum and the lever in elementary school physics, where if you're geez, I wish I had the terminology for it. I guess I got to go back to second grade physics. But if you're operating, like if you have it's easier to lift a piece of wood that's 2 feet long from the very end than if it was 4 feet long or 8 feet long,
Mhm.
because you have more leverage if when the lever is shorter. Um, Geez, I might catch some flack for that. I might be totally
I'm getting
incorrect.
what I get what you mean though. Yeah,
But
no,
it requires you have to exert more strength, I think, if your fingers are more. I don't know.
that's very true. Yeah, like I mean, if you bring them back up here, right, you also have more that downward motion instead of
Right.
like the strength being distributed like all across here. Exactly
Yes.
what you're saying, right? We're
Yes.
bringing it here so it can center in on a certain point. Much
Yes.
more, yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. Wow. Guitar physics. Who knew?
Right?
It's true though.
Exactly.
It's true. Yeah, it's um do you ever see students who when they're starting out, when people are trying to play a chord, maybe it's the F chord or maybe it's some other thing that's kind of difficult, they it's only you're only using the muscles in your forearm and your fingers, but people strain their whole bodies and faces. They're like concentrating so hard, and maybe their elbow is lifting up because they're like
Yeah,
feel like that's gonna help, and their shoulders are hunched, and you
exactly.
really just got to relax.
Oh, I see
Uh,
that every day.
yeah, I'm sure. So do you often remind students, you're like, whoa, 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 breathe, relax.
Yeah, it's I think a lot of it is, well, one thing is to relax your body. That's definitely true. Just take a couple of deep breaths, shake your hands out like it's a
Hmm.
dirty old drug. You're shaking out all the dust.
Yeah.
Um, that's a good thing to do. But I also found that a lot of it is just about awareness of how
Yeah.
much it actually takes to make a sound. What we did last, I don't remember if it was last time or two times, two times ago, two sessions ago,
Yeah.
where we experimented with putting our finger on the string but not pressing it down and trying to play that string and putting your finger, like pushing very, very gradually, applying more and more pressure and seeing how much actual strength do you need to make a sound. A lot of
Right.
people, when they realize that and they work on that for a couple of weeks, most of that extra tension is gone because they develop an awareness of what it actually means and how much you actually need to invest into like
Yeah.
making the guitar sound.
Yeah. Other instruments are a different story. Drums is obviously a full body instrument, and violin is a very awkward instrument to
Yeah.
play. Well, that's what I've heard from some friends of mine who play violin, and they can develop some
Oh, there's a
some
lot of,
injuries.
yeah. It's
uh, Guitar, it's easier on the body, I think. I don't know.
as long as you're, again, relaxed and everything and you
Yeah.
practice the correct way, you're good to
Hmm.
go. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
you get up and walk around every once in a while.
Oh yeah, that's very important. I should set a reminder for myself to do that.
um, so in the most recent lesson, talked about the new F chord, and then "We Don't Talk Anymore" by Charlie Puth. That's a cool song. The there, I'm sure there are a lot of different ways to play it. Obviously, you can just strum the chords F, G, A minor, E minor,
Mhm.
one bar each. But if you listen to the song, it's got that
Oh man,
almost.
now you're putting me on the spot. I don't know.
Yeah,
Is it something like that? I don't remember.
yeah,
Is it?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's very deceiving. I was learning that song. One of our students at Southern Music House was going to play that. I think on drums
Hmm.
for the student showcase. So I was going to accompany them on guitar and voice, and it was like, wow, that's
Yeah, no.
tough. And yeah, that's a
We're
really cool tune. Um,
me and Charlie Puth share the same alma mater.
he went to Berkeley.
He went to Berkeley. Yeah, yeah,
No
yeah.
kidding.
He was the wonder kid there.
Was he in school when you were in school?
Oh no, no, no. That was I think a couple. I don't know if a couple of years, but like before my time. Before my
Okay.
time. It's so old suddenly.
Yeah. Um, yeah, that's a cool tune. And then obviously "Let It Be," classic.
Classic.
You and again, just like with all these chords that you guys are learning, C, G, A minor, F, uh, E minor, E, A nat, all those chords. Like once you can get these chords down, you can play just about anything. Um,
That's very true.
Especially modern pop or pop rock songs.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And then if you, what we talked about, you buy a handy little thing called
The capo.
the capo. Exactly. That unlocks even more
Yeah,
doors.
yeah. So, is there anything about either of those songs that you think would be good for people to focus on, or some things that might trip people up when they're trying to work on them?
Yeah, I think the biggest, again, the problem probably will be the F chord. And then
Yeah.
once you get the F chord sort of under your control, switching from the F chord, going back and forth,
Mm.
again, just take it slow. It's going to take time. You
Yeah.
just have to be patient and trust the process, and it's going to work out. And again, the fact that you can't get the F chord to fully sound at first doesn't mean you can't have fun with it and play it. Don't
Yeah.
mind the. I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna try to imitate. That was a little buzzy or whatever, on purpose. That was a little buzzy and stuff. That's cool. You're doing the strumming pattern. It still sounds rhythmical. I would
Yeah.
really encourage people, even if they are having trouble playing the F chord, just go and just try using it in the songs, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, not really. It's the same old stuff. I would say about the strumming pattern that we take a look at in the Beatles. I would really, in this next, which is the last lesson, I really encourage people to develop some of their own strumming patterns, and we
Hmm.
go through the process of how they can create it. Um, a lot of it is really, really feeling it, feeling how the strumming should feel like. Because I could play the Let It Be strumming pattern that I wrote down, and it's not ba da da da. But if you
Mm-hmm.
listen to how it's actually sounding like, it doesn't exactly sound like it's written. There's a certain feel to those last two 16th notes where it's boom, down, da, da, dum, those kind of
Uh-huh.
things. I would really encourage people to, well, listen to how I play, but also uh, just go online and search up different acoustic guitar versions of different songs and look
Hmm.
at how those people are strumming.
Yeah.
Try to get the feel of it. There's a lot more involved than just the down and upstrokes.
Right.
And a lot of it comes intuitively, but a lot of it comes from just being aware of it and listening to it and trying to imitate other people doing it.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
What is feel?
No, God. Okay. Um, what is feel? I mean, if you want to get super technical, I can start going into like
No, just
phrasing,
intuitive,
articulation,
like
and things
whatever,
like that.
if you're talking
But
to someone in a club or on the street and they're like, "What's feel, man?"
okay, yeah. So you can. Okay, so if you're reading I don't have a. Let me. I don't have a book here or anything. Okay, I have a textbook here which I can. So you could read a book. What are the great composers of today? Many devotees of classical music feel that very little of quality has been written in recent decades. Not
Hmm.
everyone agrees, of course. I could read it like that. That
Yeah.
would be the same as the first time I showed that strumming pattern, just thumb, thumb, dot, dot, thumb.
Straightforward.
Exactly. Now listen
Yep.
to this. Now this is kind of cringy. I, I can also read it like this. Where are the great composers of today? Many devotees of classical music feel that very little of quality has been written in recent decades.
Mm,
You
big
know,
difference. Same words.
exactly, and
Feels different.
feels completely different. Where do you take a breath? How does I would say everybody sings in one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say the feel is how you, if you're an instrumentalist, the feel is how you sing on your instrument. Where do
Uh,
you wait a little bit? Where do you hesitate? Where do you have to take a breath?
right.
And those kind of things. Um, it's kind of just like talking. It's having a conversation instead of
Yeah.
just reading a chat. You actually have a live conversation with someone, which involves communication, ups and downs,
Yeah.
dynamics. Where do we accent certain things? And a
Right.
lot of it is very intuitive. I think. Yeah, I don't know. I hope the example with the book helped.
No, I think it does. I think there are so many different ways to describe what feel is uh, with music, and um,
That's true. There's so many
there
different
are a million
versions too.
analogies. One that comes to mind is it's like dancing. I feel like it's related to motion in a way. Like
Mm,
everybody knows that if they hear a song that they really like, they kind of without thinking about it will start nodding along because they feel it
that's
in their
true.
body
Yeah.
and they have their own individual rhythm or movement of their body that reacts to the music, and feel, especially with strumming, it's kind of like how you move your feet when you dance. You don't move your feet on every single beat, and that would be pretty boring if you did. You have your own style, and so you could do like
Nice. Exactly. Yeah. That's a
And
good thing about the dancing thing. Yeah.
yeah, ugh, that's why music is so cool.
It is.
Can't even explain it.
That's true. Yeah, one of my Berkeley teachers used to say like we would play a song and he would like, "Did that make you dance?" And I'm like, "What do you mean? We're playing like an avant-garde something."
Right.
And he's like, "It still has to dance. If it doesn't dance, then stop playing." you
Oh,
know?
wow.
So,
Interesting.
yeah,
That's very interesting. Yeah.
absolutely.
Cool. Well, I think that about wraps it up for this Q&A. I hope to whoever watched this or will watch this, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully you found it helpful in your musical journey learning the guitar. Look, guitar is not easy. It's a lot of work. It takes time to get to the place where you can play songs and then play with other people.
But it's
But you
so
can do it.
rewarding.
It is so rewarding, and it opens up so many doors uh, in your own like mental health and also your social life. I mean, I've met more people through music than any other activity or anything in general. Um, and so that's a long way of saying stick with it. And we're here to help you guys out. So if you have any other questions, uh, hit us up at Center Music House. Go to our website. You can take some online lessons. You can take a free trial lesson. Just go to centermusic.com/free trial. And we've got some great teachers, Rahard's being one of them. And we're all about spreading the joy and the love of music. And so whatever we can do to help you guys out, we're happy to do it. Um, and then the next lesson. So what are we going to do in the next lesson coming out this coming Wednesday, Rahards?
So the next lesson's gonna be interesting because we're gonna learn one new thing, but mostly we're gonna talk about what we can do with the stuff that we've already done in the past 6 weeks. So one thing that
Mm-hmm.
we talk about with strumming, for example, is, hey, why don't you make up your own strumming patterns? Now this seems like, well, what do you mean? I'm just starting out to play the guitar. How can I make up my own strumming patterns? And it's actually, as you as you'll probably see, um, it's much easier than it seems. It's literally writing some symbols out and putting
Mm-hmm.
some circles around it, and then playing as if it was written by someone. You can even do it randomly, um, and the same. We talk a little bit about what where can we move on forward with finger picking and with learning new chords, learning new songs, and
Cool.
I introduce playing. We're gonna play Somewhere Over the Rainbow, just the
Oh,
first melody.
classic.
Um, the you know
Yep.
and I do that not as much to teach people to play that melody itself, but to introduce people to another thing which might help them explore guitar on their own more, which is tablature. We don't
Oh,
unfortunately have enough time in these lessons to go over actual musical notation, which I'm not a purist, but I'm in strong support of.
of course.
But at the same time, I appreciate what tablature can do,
Yeah,
especially for beginners. And I think albeit shortly, I think it's a very valuable thing to cover. And
totally.
again, it's much easier than people maybe expect it will be.
Yeah. Tablature
Yeah,
is a wonderful tool for
absolutely.
learning the guitar, especially if you have little to no um, knowledge of how to read music. It's just like a key.
I know. Yeah, that's very true.
It's pretty wild. Cool. Well, looking forward to that next lesson, guys. That'll be dropping this coming Wednesday, and as always, email Helen from the library to get the lesson plan, which will be coming out Monday. Also, she'll send you if you want to register for our live Q&A jam session that we're going to do, where you guys can join a Zoom call with us. We can all meet each other, talk about guitar, answer any questions live one-on-one. Just email Helen at the library, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys there. So um, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later.
Absolutely. Peace out, y'all.
Bye. And I'm just going to wait. All right.